she's just the most amazing person I know.
She didn't make me feel uncomfortable. I felt very comfortable.
Spontaneous. Amelia is just a very spontaneous person.
We gave her the nickname of Snappy because she would just have a snap answer to everything.
She's the bravest person I know.
Love is gonna find you, love is gonna find you running. Love is gonna find you, love is gonna find you there. Love is gonna find you, love is gonna find you.
Well, I'm perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with me.
I thought she was going to be a boy. I was just carrying her differently than Lindsay. So I don't know why, I just thought she was going to be a boy. So when she was born and they said it's a girl, I was just pleasantly surprised because I was so used to having a girl anyway.
Yeah, it was different, it really was. I mean, they were 5 years apart, but they were, Amelia was still, or Lindsay was still young enough. She always wanted to help. And it was just, new because I had never been a father before I had Lindsay, and then hadn't been a father of 2 kids before I had Amelia. So it was certainly a new experience for both of us.
She was born with a smile on her face. She just was a very smiley baby. She would go to strangers so easily. She didn't care who it was as long as they had a face. She would go to them and just be so bubbly and happy and just a happy baby.
I think just always wanting to be doing something and always trying to find an activity or an adventure every day. And if I couldn't find one, I just made one up. I was usually lost and I would pretend to be building my own camp and finding supplies and, building a little shelter, and I'd do that for hours, it was so fun to me.
Well, as a kid, there was never any task that was too small or something that she couldn't do. Amelia, no matter what, even when we played hockey in the driveway or we rode bikes or something that I was afraid to do or Jared did first, Amelia was always right behind. She would do cartwheels. I was jealous. I could never do a cartwheel. I still can't do a cartwheel, despite her trying to teach me. So I think she just always was never afraid of anything, and whatever somebody else gave her an idea to do, she never said no. She just did it, and then she had a great time doing it.
Yeah, everything. We played badminton, we played croquet, we played a lot of baseball. Trying to think what else. We just, we did soccer, climbed a lot of trees, almost fell out of a lot of trees. Made up a lot of games too.
She's just so witty. She just says off the wall things, and she's just so funny. So she came home from kindergarten one day and I was making a pumpkin pie. She comes in and she goes, "Do my ears deceive me or do I smell pumpkin pie?" It was just so funny. She was so serious, she just didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Favorite animal?
Jared. That wasn't the answer. You know the question. You know the answer to that.
It was so fun. She's just so funny and witty, and it just made for lots of laughs and humor, and it was good.
2006, 7, 8, 9, when you started to see that she was just struggling a little bit more, and each year it seemed to get a little worse.
I do remember 6th grade, her not feeling well. She had asthma, and if she was around burning candles, or she just started to lose energy, she just didn't seem like the same girl. So it was around age 12, I remember. She did say in 4th grade she wasn't feeling well. She'd go out to gym class, and just want to go back inside, which was so unlike her. And the teachers just thought she didn't want to be out there, but it was a very hot day.
You started really noticing stuff.
Probably about 12, 13, just sort of thinking, wow, I don't feel well. I'm really tired. I really don't feel so great every day.
Lightheaded, kind of out of it, collapsing, those types of things. Kind of, very frightening for a parent to see. And what we just started doing was just taking her to the ER, and they would hydrate her with IVs and fluids, and she would rally, and then we'd just bring her home. And one night I took her at 10 p.m. and we got home after a couple of boluses of IVs. We got home around 6, so 6 in the morning. So that was becoming more of a common thing, where maybe every 1, 2, 3 weeks we'd have to take her down to the ER.
I had a couple concussions. I fell off a horse and got kicked in the head. I got hit with a volleyball soon after that, and a couple other events where I had several concussions in a couple years.
She was in school and started to get dizzy and lightheaded, and she would come home and say she was holding onto the wall, just losing energy, and that's when the orthostatic tachycardia started to kick in. I guess whenever you reach teenage years, the hormones change, and that triggers a lot of the symptoms that you already have underlying in your body. So those early teenage years, but 15, 16, she was holding onto the wall in school, and we just couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. And then she would come home, probably 11th grade, and just run out of energy, and she would just collapse on the floor, like literally. And she said, I just can't move, I can't get up. We were so confused by that and baffled, and that's when it all really started.
Multifactorial. It seems to be rooted in a condition where she has a problem with her mitochondria, which are very important for basic cellular function. The first condition that seemed to be most prominent when I first met Amelia was her POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And I was impressed by, the management of that required medicines to keep her blood pressure up, and fluids, where she would have to take liters of fluids infused in through a port in her chest.
Very difficult, because you're really not prepared for what you're going to do. I mean, I've rarely gone to the ER for anything. So to start to take your daughter to the ER on a regular basis was, something we just had to kind of learn to do, and learn the protocol, and learn what happens and what to ask for and how to ask for it, and maybe to have a sheet with her medical history on it, so you don't have to recite everything again and again and again, because every new doctor that comes in, okay, what's going on, and you just get tired of saying the same story. You still have to say it, but if you had her meds, for instance, written down, you could present that to the doctor or the nurse, and that would save some time. So we just kind of learned little things like that to try to speed up the process, because she didn't have a central line back then, so she had to have IVs put in, and that's basically what we went for. But you had to explain everything before they would even consider doing that, because they're looking for a head wound or a car accident injury or something. They're not. This is a very unique thing that they're not used to dealing with.
We just didn't really know. We had no clue what was going on.
Just from the moment I heard the word POTS and I looked it up, I just knew that's what I had, because it fit. I could do my own vitals at home, lying, standing, and sitting, and I knew I met the criteria. So to me, it was just obvious that I had it. It kind of started in just 2 days into my senior year. I was so tired from just going to school that I collapsed, and I got so sick from just trying to be at school, trying to be where I wanted to be, but it was so exhausting.
She was not supposed to be playing that day, but we went to the game because she wanted to be with her teammates, and so we took her. And towards the end of the game, right at the end of the game, the coach motioned for her to come on in, and she's like, me? And they brought her in, and she served. I think she served did she serve an ace? I'm not quite sure, but she served, and they maybe volleyed back and forth. But by then I had kind of mentally lost it, because I was just so surprised and so happy for her that she got to to play in the last, I think it was the last game of the season. It was the last game of the season for her. So it was a very special time up at the gym up in Slate Lake.
And I was elected captain even though I was really sick, but I kind of earned the position just through, playing for a couple years. So it was just sort of like a nominal position, or what's the word, someone else is really doing the job, and I was just kind of there when I could be there. But it was really nice that they let me in. Once for a pretty big game, I was there, and my coach put me in. I couldn't really walk well without using support, and you can't go out on the court with anything. Obviously you can't go walking out there with a cane or something. And she said, no, I want you to go out and serve, do a serve for it was like the last point. If we didn't win, we weren't gonna get to go on to the big tournament. And I was like, are you crazy? What are you doing? And she's like, no, I want you to go on and serve this point. And because I could usually get the ball over with my underhand serve. And I hit that ball as hard as I could, and it went over, and I fell down just trying to get the ball over. Where someone ran over, picked me up. And we didn't win on that point, but we did win the game. It was cool.
I was so proud. Everyone had tears in their eyes, and it was just a moment. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't want to do that. It was just a special moment, like how strong she was.
Oh, I'm so happy for her that she got to, enjoy playing one last time, even if it was for a single serve.
I never doubt anything with Amelia because I know no matter what is thrown at her that she will overcome it and she will accomplish her goals.
I have intestinal dysmotility and gastroparesis.
Her gut, from stomach all the way down to exit of contents, really just does not function. The POTS, the issue with her blood pressure, has really been stable lately, but her ability to take in nutrition and medications and how we would normally absorb them as we swallow medicines and they get broken down in our body is not the same for Amelia.
I have a central line. It's called a Hickman line, and whenever I need a new one, which I've had 7 lines. Some people have had way more. 7 might sound like a lot, but lines are sort of expendable. They come and they go. So this line is tunneled in my neck, and it exits out right about here, like here. And actually, my nurse has been yelling at me to have it outside of my shirt now instead of near my G-tubes. And I run my TPN and my IV fluids in them. I put IV medications in them, and it goes right to my heart, so that's why it's called a central line. I have a J tube, which I put all my medications in that aren't IV or anything. My G tube was originally supposed to be my feeding tube for anything I needed nutritionally, but I cannot use it that way anymore because my gut doesn't move food through, so it isn't particularly helpful for that. And then I have a G tube to continually drain my stomach or anything that backs out of my intestines.
Now, every night when I come home from work, I'm the one that prepares Amelia's TPN, which is her liquid intravenous feeds. And so I'll come home, have a quick bite to eat, and then I'll prepare that for her and either hook that up to her, or if she's feeling well enough, she can prepare herself and hook up that line. It runs over a 16-hour period, starts around 7 p.m. and ends sometime the next morning.
I help her with her meds 3 times a day, just to give her a break from that, because all she does all day long is her tubes and her IV fluids and her TPN in the evening. So I do what I can just to get her away from the medical aspect of it, of getting that all prepared. But I feel like I'm on standby. Like if she calls me, I want to be available to get her what she might need, and it's being on standby a lot.
Trying to be organized and stay on top of all of that is, it's harder than it probably sounds, because, or it is harder than it sounds, because it's just, you got to be right. You can't administer the wrong dose. You administer too much, it can cause a problem. Too little cause a problem.
Couldn't eat for about a year and a half before her G-tube, and now she can just eat, little things. But it vents right out her vent bag. But it's just so thrilling to see her to be able to join the family and sip some water or watermelon or eat something.
I can eat again, and I am so grateful. It's like my favorite tube that I have because it lets me eat. And so anything that will drain out of it, I can have, because if any food goes in and stays in, it can cause a lot of problems.
So this is like her breakfast, lunch, and dinner for tonight. So this will be her bacon and eggs, her hamburger for lunch, and her mashed potatoes and roast beef for dinner with apple pie.
We worked with the school administrators and just say she has no energy to get through the day. And at that point, she was using a walker. We didn't have any crutches yet or a wheelchair. So that was pretty humiliating for her, and everyone just was confused by why does she need this? She just felt like she didn't fit in, and it was just a difficult year.
Well, the teachers in the leadership of her school were very, very understanding. They allowed her to turn in assignments late. They modified assignments. They modified the due date. The state of Pennsylvania, you have to come to school so many days per year. And I can't quite remember how we got around that, but sometimes she wouldn't be in school for days at a time because she was just feeling terrible.
I stayed home more. I didn't go in as much because my class was gone, so I pretty much only went in to be a part of everything. So I just sort of stayed home. I did my homework. I only had one class left at that point. It was my math class, so that was the hardest for me.
So they extended the school year, they extended the time frames, and she even had to, her 12th grade was, I believe, over the course of 2 calendar years. So she did her senior year, and then she continued to do assignments the following year.
When you have kids, you expect them to do the same routine as every other teenager. So it was kind of a grieving process because you expected her to go off to college like everyone did. So I had to work through that but then I thought not everyone is the same, and Amelia always was a little bit different, and I thought, well, her life is just going to be different from the normal. But it was really hard, especially because we didn't know exactly what was wrong with her, and people would ask and we'd have to explain it over and over, and we still don't know, and it was just a confusing time, and it was emotional.
You've worked so hard for so long to get to this point, and if you're willing to try, we want to try to help you get your high school diploma. And if it takes 2 years, if it takes 14 months, whatever it takes, we got to run you over each day to the school and then run you back even for a class. So that's what we had to do. We had to kind of modify everything and help her get that done, because that's you work for a high school diploma for so long, to almost 12 years. For her case, it was 13 years.
Yeah, at first I thought, oh, is she going to do this? Because I think she had one class and she wasn't doing it because she was in the hospital not feeling well. So it seemed like that last course was taking a long time. And I thought, oh, but Amelia, as always, just pulls through, even if it's at the last minute, and she did it. And it was the next graduation where we pulled Pastor Gary in the parking lot when everyone was celebrating, and we had the cameras, and he said he was going to present her with her diploma. So that was a great time.
You knew she worked so hard for it, so I was just so happy for her to finally get it. It was a little sad that she didn't get it with her classmates. She got it with the next year's classmates. But regardless, I was very, very happy for her. I'm very proud of how she persevered for that last year, pushed through a lot of physical issues to actually get it done.
It was very rewarding, especially when I got my actual diploma the following year. That was the best moment. I didn't expect it to be so emotional. My Pastor Gary handed me my diploma and I just started crying, and it was the most rewarding moment I can remember, because it was just a high school diploma. It was just something people expect you to do. People just expect you to go to school, get your high school diploma, and it's not a big deal. And if all you have is your high school diploma, then in society in America, it's not even that big of a deal. But to me, it was everything to have my high school diploma. And that might be the only degree I ever get. But to me, it's like it was such this hard-won battle that I got my high school diploma. And it was a really big deal to me.
Not everything about the human body has been understood. And unfortunately, with the technology that we have right now and very smart minds behind them, have not been able to uncover the exact reason why Amelia has the conditions that she has.
Obviously, it's impacted me physically. Everything is different. Everything is different from the way I thought it would be. Like when you're little and growing up, you think, oh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to change the world, you know, because I'm going to go to school and I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get a job. And so sometimes I think, you know, oh, I'm just sitting here and I'm not doing anything. And, you know, so I always feel like I'm going to, you know, like I'm just not doing anything with my life. So I'm always trying really hard to find ways to do something productive, and I don't always feel productive. And I think that's the hardest way that it's changed my life, is that I feel like I'm not doing anything productive.
It's just changed our life. It's just put our life on hold in a different kind of way. So I've just learned that we need to go a day at a time. Oh, sorry, Jared. We just go one day at a time. And emotions are different every day. Some days I'm really strong, and other days someone asks me a question like this and it's hard. So it's a learning experience. It's changed our life in that we have empathy for other people that are going through this. We had no idea that other people suffer so much out in the world. You're in your own little contained world, and we've met so many people that have life-threatening illnesses, and it's just made us think so much differently. Just having empathy for other people and knowing that we have other people to talk to that are going through the same thing, and how strong people are and how they lean on their faith. And it does just make you concentrate on your faith and just Jesus, just to hang on to him, knowing that he is watching over us.
She had a healing a few years back, so that was huge for her. So if he can do that once, I know he can do it again. So that's what we're praying for, like a miracle and just like restoration of her body. So it'll either be now or it'll be in heaven. So
for the pleasure of our company today, we continue to pray for a healing touch to fall upon Amelia. We know you can heal her, Lord. We pray that you would choose to do that. We continue to trust in you in the meantime, and we love you, and we ask for your guidance and your protection. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
She is just so incredible. Like, she's the most incredible person I know. She's the most thoughtful person. She motivates me on a daily basis. Anytime I'm frustrated with something that's happened to me, or I'm upset about something, you know, I think of Amelia, or I look at a picture of us together, and it just makes me happy, and it makes me proud to call her my best friend. And I just am so blessed to have her in my life, because she's constantly motivating me, constantly holding me up, and you know, I love her so much. Like, she's the best person in the world.
Amelia is a young inspiration facing chronic medical problems, including POTS, gastroparesis, dependence on food through her IV, complex migraines, respiratory failure, and despite all of these things, is still a positive effect on others around her, her family, her friends, and even us here in the office.
People who have her same condition, to give them hope and hopefully some encouragement.
She teaches me so much about life, how to live life and be spontaneous, and she just has a great attitude.
Got to trust the Lord that He'll heal her, or at least make the pain manageable enough so we can find out what to do.
I'm at peace with everything, and so that's all I want, is just for everyone to be at peace.
Can't say how we ended up this way, but I don't need a friend. I need you again. Oh, and things don't change, they just rearrange, and we can carry on. And that's the beauty of it all. I can't say how we ended up this way, but I don't need a friend. I need you again.